Welcome back, YouTube viewers. I want to finish up at least this arm in today's tutorial. We may or may not get to the rest of the engineering hull, but we have left off where we created a fairly dense mesh. We created an angled cube of just the right size to fit inside Alan Sinclair's drawings, and cut out a section of hull, and then proceeded to put faces in so that we can handle this area easier later on. We're going to add a forward arm on this, and then sooner or later we'll duplicate this, put it down at the bottom, and then one of the last things we're going to do is, since we're going to work on the starboard side, kind of like the original effects team did, we're going to do something a little different though. At the end, we're going to delete the port side, which will have a dearth of details, and we will duplicate the starboard side and make it all one object. All right. First thing I want to do is we've cut this notch, this flattened set of faces into the side of the ship, which you can see really clearly if we go to 3 here. Here's this. Let me get out of here. Here's this flat notch area, which fairly well matches what Alan has drawn here. It's at least in the right location, it is the right size, and it is the right shape, especially this rear rounded section. And that's because we have taken some extra pains to expand this area of the hull in with a smooth drop off, and that makes this cutout actually possible when you use a cube. Pardon me. Now, I have copies of everything we did down here in the lower second layer. That includes a hull without the cut and 2 versions of this cube. Let's go to 7. This is the cube where we turned it using the 3D cursor as a pivot. And here is our original straight cube without alterations. I'm going to Shift-D, make a copy of that, and move that copy back up into our work area, the top second layer. So I'm going to go to the top second layer. We've now got this elongated cube, and we're going to use this as at least a partial basis or a referent for the forward arm. But I really like to make this forward arm section out of a cylinder, and that's because of these rounded edges. So we could either fake it or we could just add a cylinder. So I'm going to deselect my cube. It's here as a reference for size from top to bottom. I'm going to reposition my 3D cursor by hitting Shift-S and picking cursor to center. All right, so Shift-A, and we're going to pick a cylinder. The default is about 32. No, not about. The default is 32 vertices. And I think I changed this to 36 when I do this one. We'll find out. Anyway, change it to 36. Rotate this 90 degrees. Oh, hang on one second. Pardon me. I keep forgetting to turn on my screencast keys. So when you rotate, you hit R, and then you type in on your number keypad the degrees that you want to rotate, and you're set to rock and roll. I'm also going to go to 7, rotate this 90 degrees again, and go back to 1. This way, our cylinder is facing us. Now it's perfectly centered, so it's going to take repositioning. G to grab, and let's move it down here somewhere in the vicinity of this forward arm, and scale it down, but change your, if you've just opened up Blender, change your pivot point from 3D cursor to bounding box center. So that way we'll affect this unit here, and I do believe it's guided by the object center. So since this is a new instance of a cylinder, that's going to be perfectly centered. So we're going to scale this down really tiny, and then we're going to zoom in here. All right, so I'm going to scale this down even more and grab this and move it into position. All right, so that's probably still just a little too large. Scale and bring it down. All right, so now I want to zoom in here fairly close, and I want to hit Tab, and I've got a point up top, down to the bottom, one in the front, and one in the back. Generally speaking, I try and avoid that. It doesn't really matter, but we also have 36 verts, which is going to make this very easy. I'm going to tab out, and I'm going to rotate this. If you were to rotate 10 degrees, it would look like nothing has changed. So we're going to rotate half that, rotate 5 degrees, and go back in, hit Tab. And now we've exchanged that center point for a center, like a center plane. And that's what I really want. So what we're going to do is we're going to to deselect everything. And I'm going to keep this top plane and everything else here. So I want to pick just to the left of that flat plane's verts. I want to hit B, left click, drag, select these verts, and we're going to delete them. X, verts. Okay, great. Similarly, I want to keep this flat plane in front. I want to select all the verts below that plane. X, delete the verts. And now we've got this nice rounded edge. And we can actually grab this. Let's see, how do I want to do this? I'm going to grab this, B, I'm going to grab this set of verts, I'm going to restrict it to Z to go up and down. I'm going to take it down to halfway. So, right around there. All right, cool. If I were to mirror this in the Z direction, right now, not going to, but mirror, get rid of X. Well, actually, X seemed to really work. That's interesting, isn't it? Okay, I want to uncheck that. I want to select all of these, and I'm going to go in the X plane. All right, so that's really weird. Actually, tell you what, silly me, I can accomplish what I want without mirror. I mean, I really like mirror, but let's get rid of mirror. Let's undo some of what we've done here. Control Z until we go back, and before we delete this last half. So let's grab, actually, I'm going to deselect everything. Here's that middle flat portion again, okay? We're going to grab everything below that center set of two verts. So that we're going to pick this. All we're going to do is we're going to grab Z and move it down here. All right. Now, we don't have to be perfect yet, and obviously this is not, because this is actually wider than this, which we want to meet up with this original cube that we used. But because I deleted the back half, this isn't really a cylinder anymore. And we're going to have to create faces here to turn this into an object. So if I go to Z, you can see it's just a curve, just the front part of that arm. All right, so I'm going to go to Tab, and I'm going to turn this just a little, recenter, and I'm going to grab, right mouse click, Shift, right mouse click, and pick these four verts and make a face. I want you to do this on both the front and the back of this object, and then I'll be right back. Now I finished the front. I'm going to do the opposite side, so grab four verts, hit F to make a face, grab the next four, two up top, two on the bottom, make another face, and do this until you complete the back side. Okay, now that scut work is almost done. I just want to look at the front of this. Look at the back of this, and there's no face here. So I'm trying to think, yeah, I think I want there to be a face here, so pick these last 4 verts and F for face. Okay, great. Deselect, tab, and normally I would smooth it and then throw an edge split on there, but it seems to create additional duplicate verts. As a matter of fact, I doubt that there are duplicate verts on here right now. I'm going to select A. We're going to remove doubles. There were 0 to be removed. And there's no weird shading on it, so I believe it's rendering properly. I believe the normals are okay. All right, so the object center is off-center. We'll eventually fix that. It's also, if we go to 7, right in the middle of the ship, and we don't want that. So I'm going to grab Y and move this out here in the general area. And remember that this cube is a copy of our original cube. The original cube is down here in lower layer 2. I'm going to grab this X and move it out here so that it's very close to our new modified cylinder. 1. All right, so now we can see that I have made this actually too large. So what I want to do is I want this height to match exactly this height. I don't want to scale it down because the curves are correct. So I'm going to move vertices. And let's see here. I'm going to grab this cube, grab X, and I'm going to bring it really close here to our new modified cylinder. All right. So I'm going to tab in, A to deselect everything, Z to see it transparent-wise, B, I want to pick all of the top verts, and then I want to scoot in and get as close as I can to here. I won't be able to zoom in all the way, but now I'm just going to hit Grab Z on my keyboard and move this down. Okay, so this is a lot closer to the correct height. A to deselect. I'm going to move out. I'm going to pick B to select the bottom set of verts. Oh, shoot. Shift S, cursor to center. Sorry about that. I'm going to hit B. Eric, Shift S, cursor to center. B like brown. Select these bottom verts, and we're going to scroll in fairly close. And I'm going to, I only need to see this edge and this edge here. So I'm going to have them fill the screen. Okay, so that's pretty good. Grab Z. I'm moving all the verts, whether I see them or not. And I've got them fairly close to matching. All right, so now I'm going to tab out of this. and we're going to scale in really close here. That's about as close as you can get. So I'm going to grab the cube. I'm going to grab X, restrict it in the X direction, and move this over so that I can really compare the two. I'm going to go back here, grab my modified cylinder, right? Tab into it. Remember, the bottom is still selected, the bottom verts, not the top. And scroll in all the way that's possible, and you can see that this has to come up just a little bit. So grab Z, and I think that is as close as we are ever going to get. Okay, so I'm going to A to deselect all, scoot out, and it actually almost looks like it's joined. It's not, it's separated a little bit, and we are going to do exactly the same thing to the top because I'm going to assume that they are not perfect. B to select all the verts, just the top verts, of course. And we're going to center where these two should be close to joining. And this is just a little taller than the original cube. So grab Z and move that down so that that is one continuous line from left to right. Okay, excellent. Tab. All right, so we've tabbed out. We have a modified cylinder here that matches this original cube that we used to Boolean out the side of the Enterprise. We're actually done with this for now. So we're going to move this back to that lower second layer. But we're going to go back to that lower second layer really fast. And I don't know if you use Notepad or some other note-taking software. Let me grab this. but I'm going to want to record some information about one of our primitives, one of the cube that we turned in order to make that cutout. So this is just going to make things a little easier. We are now down in that second lower layer. I'm going to go to 7. I'm going to deselect the cube A that we were working on. I want the one that got rotated. And I want to go over here to our object properties, because although it's got the scale, we're not going to worry about that. It's got the rotation of this object and its location. So the rotation is x is 0, y is -0, which is effectively the same, and z is 0.515121 degrees. I'm going to copy that, Control C. I'm going to go here. I'm going to type Z space and Control V like Victor and type in that set of degrees. All right, it's just to remember. If you want to remember the whole number, that's perfectly fine. All right, so now we're going to deselect that. Whoops, get back into Blender here. All right, and I'm going to go to our top second layer. I'm going to grab this modified cylinder, and I want to see it like this. All right, now tab into it, deselect all the verts, and if I remember correctly, yeah, we actually, this top set of faces and bottom set of faces are actually perfectly flat. So I'm going to hit Z to make it transparent, B to select those 4 verts that make that face, grab X, and we want to move this until we pretty much just match up right on the edge there with the engineering hull. So it's not bad, but it's not in the correct position, and it's not in the correct rotation. I'm going to tab out so that we've got our whole object. I'm going to go to 7 just to see this. And I'm going to go over here to our object properties. Rotation 0 and 95, that's fine. We're ignoring X and Y. What we're interested in is Z. And I'm going to paste in, or go type it from our note. And now this has the same rotation as this. Doesn't have the same location, but it's got the same rotation. So now this front edge, or the back edge for that matter, should perfectly match what we cut out of the ship. So I'm going to grab this Y. Sorry. So grab Y and move this here. We'll probably have to do some adjustments. Probably not quite back far enough, but by golly, it is really, really close. All right, now, to make this a little easier on ourselves, I'm going to go to 1. I'm going to select our engineering hull, tab into it, AA to make sure that we've deselected everything. All I really want to preserve for now are these flat faces here. So I'm going to go Z to make it transparent. We are in edit mode, and I'm going to select a little bit above, B, and select as much as I can of the ship, H to hide. We're going to do the same down at the bottom, B, H to hide. From, let's grab, I really am only interested in the front for now, so B, H to hide. I'm going to expand out, and I'm going to grab this whole rear section, B, H to hide. I'm going to go to 7, and I'm going to grab the opposite side of our model, B, H to hide. Okay, cool. So now, if I come out of that, sorry, tab, Z, we're still in edit mode, Z to make this solid, I'm going to tab out. But if we go here, 7, Z, remember the inner lip should be these edges here. So let's go to 7. And you can actually see these bright dots which are aligned here. That's this line here is actually what we are trying to align with. And we're very close. Okay. So we know what we want to align with. I'm going to scoot in here. Here's our modified cylinder. I'm going to tab out, but that pretty much lines up right there. I'm going to grab this G and make it match that line. Scooch out here. Z. And as a matter of fact, if I deselect it, there is essentially no way to tell that that is not a part of that flat face. It's not. It's its own object. But we've got it rotated perfectly and matching right where that line ends. So for the viewer, this is one large flat face. We could join this. I'm not going to do that yet. That will be later on. But we've got our first arm. And I want to go to the hull here. I'm going to do Alt-H, and we restore all the other verts and such. I want Z. I'm going to go to 7. I'm going to make sure that we are in vertex mode. And I want to look at the very center, first 2 sets of vertices, right in the middle. So B, I'm going to select this. You can see the, it's kind of faint here, but you can see the center line from Blender. That's right in the middle of the engineering hull, and it's top and bottom. If I do Shift-S, cursor to selected, that is as close to the true center of the engineering hull as we are going to get, because the front is the least affected part of the ship from when we were doing our scaling to make that circular cutout possible. So this is fine. That should be close enough. What we're going to do is we're now going to tab out because we no longer actually need the engineering hull for this. We're going to go over to this arm, go back to 3, and just for heck of it, I'm going to Shift D to copy it. And we're going to pick the 3D cursor to rotate from. We're going to rotate 90 degrees. Ooh, okay. So actually, let's rotate 180. And then Shift D to duplicate it. Rotate 90. We actually have the 3 arms ready to go. All we have to do is do the cutouts, make the cutouts match on the bottom and the side. If we mirror this side, this one, we get this other one on the port side for free. The one that's going to be interesting is putting one on the bottom. Now there's a couple of ways of doing that, but the way I've done it before, and I'm hoping to do so here, is basically I want to grab this entire section. I don't need those upper ones. Now, I'll do this a little more carefully later on, but we don't need these. And we do need some that are not being selected from this C selector. You can see the dark hints of the faces here on the upper lip and the lower lip. But this gives you an area that I'm interested in. I'm interested in this section. If we duplicate that and rotate it -90 degrees, we could actually place it here. If we deleted the same faces down here, we could replace them with a copy of the already modified section, thus saving ourselves a lot of work. So I'm going to go to Vertex Area. I'm going to Vertex Edit. I'm going to deselect them by typing A. I'm going to make this transparent. Go to 7. I'm going to hide an awful lot of the ship. So B, I'm going to select all these verts. H, because I don't want to see, and then hit Z, because I don't want to see the vertices or faces on the opposite side. Z, again, to be transparent. Luckily, we won't select anything on the opposite side, but I want to do verts. I want to do verts that include this just above the lip. And so it's going to be up here. It's going to include all of these out to here, right? And we're going to go one row past where we made modifications and down. So if I place my cursor up here between these two sets of verts and hit B, like brown, left mouse click, don't worry about the bottom too much yet. I want to make sure that I get that entire row that I'm talking about, and I want to come down here and I want to do exactly the same on the bottom row. So now I've only got the area that I was talking about. One row above and below where we made changes to the hull. We've got all the changes back here where we fixed geometry, and because we did this in transparent mode, we got the upper and lower lip as well. All right, so I'm going to Shift D to duplicate that. P, because I want to separate it from the ship. So P like Peter, and hit Selection. Oh, it disappeared. No, actually, it's showing us our model. I'm going to tab out and right mouse click right in that same area. We have two sections of model that are existing at exactly the same place. So I'm going to go to 3, Z, just to show you that I've selected that duplicated, separated section. Let's go to 1, see, 3, and we're going to rotate this -90 and hit enter. Okay, great. The unfortunate thing is, if we were to Control 7, Z, and take a look, we wouldn't see anything, just where some of the verts coexist, right? So I'm going to move this newly duplicated section, M, and we're going to move it over one layer. Okay, great. Let's pick our hull, Tab, Alt-H, we've got everything back. A to deselect everything. Now, remember that these arms are a good indicator. When I selected this area here to duplicate, I included this, which is one full unit below this arm and one full unit above the arm, and I went back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, or we just go to this doubled line, which is a really good indicator because it exists on the bottom, and just go out full units, 1, 2, 3, 4. We went out to 4. We want to leave these verts, but we want to delete everything inside, so we're going to duplicate that down at the bottom. So Control 7. So I want one full unit away from this arm, right? Shift, right mouse click, one full unit away from here, and 3 in. So 1, 2, 3. We can see that right here. You can actually see the changes that we made here. So I want to leave this, but delete this. So this goes out to here. So I'm going to, oh, actually I'm not. I'm going to deselect 1. I want to hide the top. I don't want to select any vertices on top. So B, grab that, H. Now, Control 7. All right, so I want to grab one row up, one row down. So if I do this as a reminder, B, and grab these. All right, cool. So I want to extend that all the way down to here. So I'm going to grab B. That's good. And I want to come down here and make sure that I get only those rows. So this is only the affected verts. Control 7. If I was to delete this right now, I would delete too many. So hang on. Allow me to show you. A to deselect. I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to grab be these verts here. I know it sounds ridiculous. 1, 2, 3. But I'm going to show you why I'm doing this. When I delete these edges and faces are also going away. I will only be left with that row. All right, so here, watch this. So I've actually only grabbed these. I've left untouched this row of verts top and bottom. X to delete the verts. Tab. Now we've got this kind of rectangular-ish section missing. I could just include this third layer here where we've got this little element here. So Z, you can actually see that it lines up perfectly. There are no overlapping verts. If I go from here to here, this does not come in. So this is nice. Now, we could join this if I do this. So I'm going to Control 7. I've got the hull selected. I'm going to Shift, right mouse click on this piece here. So we've got both the hull and this new section joined, well, selected at the same time. Control 7. We're going to Control J, join them all in one piece. The problem is we're going to have duplicated vertices along this row. And I can prove that by just grabbing one and zooming in on it, because there's actually two verts there. If I click again in the exact same area, oh, well, tell you what, I'm going to hit B instead, see if that'll work. B. Nope. If I go to Z and make it transparent, oops, Control 7. Now, since it's see-through, Shift V, and now I've picked two verts that are occupying exactly the same spot. The top is still hidden, so I'm not affecting that. It can't be those vertices. Control 7. So what we want to do is we want to merge those verts. And I don't know any easy way of doing it. It's a manual process. We're going to Alt M and merge at center, because they should actually be in the same location. So if I click away somewhere and come back, this vert, this single vert, is now attached to all of these edges, whereas this particular vert or this particular vert are not. So we're going to do the same thing. B, grab, Alt M, merge at center, and now we're going to have to do that all the way down this line out to here, and then down here, and all the way across this line here. So it's just scut work. But you always get a hint because, again, this one we haven't done yet. I'm sorry, I apologize. This one we haven't done yet, and you can see I grab a vert, and it affects either 1 or 3, but not all 4 edges. If I go up here and pick any random vert, I get 1 vertex and 4 edges. So we need to fix this on down. You do that, you've seen it, you select them, you make sure the top is hidden, you select the verts by going transparent, B or C, select everything in that area, Alt M at center, and come back when you are done. What do you know? There is a way. After I had joined the top row, I hit A to select everything, I removed doubles, and Blender took care of the rest for me. I'm going to hit A. Down here, which I did not work on, we should have those duplicated verts. So I'm going to just hit one on a line, but no, the one vert is attached to all the surrounding edges. Marvelous, just wonderful. All right, so great. So now if we go to Z, and let's Alt H, A to deselect everything. Okay, so now we've got 2 of these arms. I'm going to tab out, and we can rotate. Because we've done this, and deselect. Because we've done this, essentially using math. These are perfectly lined up for these 2, the starboard side and the bottom side. The only thing left is to make one for the port side, which, again, never got filmed, but for the sake of completeness of our model, and if you want to do some fancy barrel rolls or something with the Enterprise, you don't want the port side to be undetailed. So we're going to need a matching set of details here. What we're going to do is we're going to go to Control 7. Pardon me. And actually, no. Let's go to 1. Highlight your engineering hull. Tab into it. Z to be transparent. And I want you to select B and select most of that hull. H to hide it. I'm even going to do some back here. So B, grab these. H to hide it. Control 7. Z to get rid of our transparency. And we're left with seemingly just this small section of the hull, right? Control 7. And what we want to do is we want to split this section in half. All right, because what we're going to do is we're going to delete the port side. After all that work, we're going to delete the port side. So I'm going to go into Edge Select mode. And don't worry, we will not be affecting any of the arms. And I want to zoom in where I've got all these faces from left to right and edges. I'm going to place my cursor inside the triangle here, so I won't be affecting any of this leftmost stuff. And I'm going to hit B, like brown, left mouse click, and pull out a tiny little line all the way out here that is not intersecting with anything else. And voila, we now have edges running all the way out. What we're going to do is we're going to hit them and we're going to subdivide once. And we get a line all the way down, which is great, an edge. The only place where we don't get it is right here, and that's fine. We're going to use our old trick of grabbing one edge, X, delete that edge, not the verts, delete the edge, go to vertex mode, edit mode, come down here, and we're going to make a face by selecting these 4 verts, F, and these 3. F. Now, actually, since we're looking up from the bottom, this is the section that we wish to retain. We want to keep all of this. And we even want to keep all of these, right? We want to keep that. And we want to delete all of this. So I'm going to deselect. We're going to go back to Vertex, Edit. We're going to Alt-H to unhide the rest of the ship. A to deselect it. I'm going to go to, you can do this from the top or the bottom, but easier for me to remember that I wish to preserve this side, this half of the ship. So 7, Z to make it transparent, and we can pick everything on the port side. So here's the center line. I'm going to go just above it, B, left mouse click, and draw a big rectangle here. Select that side of the ship. Now, we're going to do this all the way down. So I want to have my cursor here as close to the center as I can, but just above center, B, left mouse click, select all. You can actually see that this is a single line of verts. We have not selected anything on this center line here. The red pale line, which is center line, meets this row of verts, and they are unaffected. But I want to go to Control 7. I'm going to take away our invisibility, our transparentness, and I want to make sure that all of these verts down here have been selected, which they have, but none of the center. So I'm going to X, vertices. I should have had you save. But we've now got 1/2 of the engineering hull. Okay, let's go to 7. Hopefully, because this was a cylinder, hopefully because the center is in the middle, hopefully because we've got our 3D cursor right in the middle of the front of the hull, hopefully when we go to Add Modifier, Mirror, and this says X, and it looks like it's actually working, we're going to tab out and rotate around. So we've got a perfectly flush matching face there on the bottom and on the port side of the ship. Excellent. To make it look a little more obvious, deselect the ship and run around. You won't get that artificial separation trying to show you one object. Later on, we can join these together and make a single object out of all of them, but for right now, it's enough that they are lined up and we have all 3 arms. I'm going to cut this one tutorial here, and we will come back and finish the rest of the front of the ship, and then, or at least put objects in place for it, and then we will also do the same in the back. We have some more tailoring to do here with the size and thickness of these arm sections, because they've got to come up and meet this cowl here. And then we're going to cut in the fantail and do a whole lot of work back in the shuttle bay area. I don't think for the purposes of this tutorial we're actually going to make an interior to the shuttle bay, but we're only doing the screen production version of the original series model. If you want to make a shuttle bay, the same rules apply. You'll just be doing them internally. But for right now, make sure you save your work, File Save, or Control S, same thing, Control S, and just when it says Save Over, say yeah. All right, great. You are doing a great job if you've gotten this far, and if you have an engineering hull with 3 arms that look like flat planes that are cut just slightly into the edge of the ship, job well done.